And the other issue is on female genital mutilation and cutting, the Detroit case that actually, where the government, federal government lost the case because the law was 20 years old and et cetera, et cetera. I'd like to know, will you be able to make a statement against FGM because that's an issue in Detroit? It would be really powerful if the two Muslim congresswomen, yourself and Rashida, would make a statement on this issue.
I fail to understand why members of this committee or the American people should find any testimony that you give today to be truthful.
If I can respond to that.
It wasn't a question.
That
was not a question. That was the
Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So, you just saw a little teaser of a really intense clip featuring Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. This video got a ton of attention when it came out, and it shows a fiery confrontation with an audience member at a public panel. We're going to watch the full video. My goal here is to really dig into what's happening. How does she handle criticism and tough questions? How does the person questioning her frame their argument? And what does this all say about her style as a politician? This is the kind of stuff political enthusiasts love to break down, so stick with me. As we go, I really want to hear your take. Do you think the question was fair? Was her response justified? Be sure to drop a comment below and hit that subscribe button if you're into this kind of deep dive analysis. All right, let's roll the full clip.
The other issue is on female genital mutilation and cutting, the Detroit case that actually, where the government, federal government lost the case because the law was 20 years old and et cetera, et cetera. I'd like to know, will you be able to make a statement against FGM because that's an issue in Detroit? It would be really powerful if the two Muslim congresswomen, yourself and Rashida, would make a statement on this issue.
Your second question is an appalling question because I always feel like there are bills that we vote on, bills we sponsor, many statements we put out, and then we're in a panel like this and the question is posed, could you and Rashida do this? And it's like, how often should I make a schedule? Like, does this need to be on repeat every 5 minutes? Should I be like, so today I forgot to condemn Al-Qaeda. So here's the Al-Qaeda one. Today I forgot to condemn FGM. So here it goes. Today I forgot to condemn Hamas. So here it goes. Today I forgot, you know what I mean? It is a very frustrating question. It comes up. You can look at my record. I voted 4 bills doing exactly what you're asking me to do. I have put out statements upon statements. There's a bill in Congress. There's a resolution that I am the co-author of that I voted out of the Foreign Affairs Committee. And so I am, I think, quite disgusted, really, to be honest, that as Muslim legislators, we are constantly being asked to waste our time is speaking to issues that other people are not asked to speak to because the assumption exists is that we somehow support and are for, right? No, there is an assumption. So I want to make sure that the next time someone is in an audience and is looking at me and Rashida and Abdul and Sam, that they ask us the proper questions that they will probably ask any member of Congress or any legislator or any politician, and would not come with an accusation that we might support something that is so abhorrent, so offensive, so evil, so vile. What we look for, and what this whole conversation is about, is that not only do we not have internalized fears about what we might believe and how that gets implemented. Mr. Adams, in 1991, you pleaded guilty to 2 counts of withholding information from Congress regarding your involvement in the Iran-Contra affair, for which you were later pardoned by President George H.W. Bush. I fail to understand why members of this committee or the American people should find any testimony that you give today to be truthful.
If I can respond to that.
It wasn't a question.
On February,
that was not a question. That was I reserve the right to my time.
It is not right.
That was not a
This
question.
committee can attack
On February
a witness
8th,
who is not permitted to reply.
that was not a question. Thank you for your participation. On February 8th, 1982, you testified before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee about U.S. policy in El Salvador. In that hearing, you dismissed as communist propaganda report about the massacre of El Mozote, in which more than 800 civilians, including children as young as 2 years old, were brutally murdered by U.S.-trained troops. During that massacre, some of those troops bragged about raping a 12-year-old girl before they killed them. Girls before they killed them. You later said that the U.S. policy in El Salvador was a fabulous achievement. Yes or no, do you still think so?
From the day that President Duarte was elected in a free election to this day, El Salvador has been a democracy. That's a fabulous achievement.
Yes or no, do you think that massacre was a fabulous achievement that happened under our watch?
That is a ridiculous question, and I
yes or no?
No.
I will
Chairman,
take that as a yes.
I am not going to respond to that kind of personal attack, which is not a question.
Yes or no, would you support an armed faction within Venezuela that engages in war crimes, crimes against humanity or genocide, if you believe they were serving U.S. interest, as you did in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua?
I am not going to respond to that question. I'm sorry. I don't think this entire line of questioning is meant to be real questions, and so I will not reply.
Whether you, under your watch, a genocide will take place, and you will look the other way because American interests were being upheld, is a fair question, because the American people want to know that anytime we engage a country, that we think about what our actions could be and how we believe our values are being furthered. That is my question. Will you make sure that human rights are not violated and that we uphold international and human rights?
I suppose there is a question in there, and the answer is that the entire thrust of American policy in Venezuela is to support the Venezuelan people's effort to restore democracy to their country. That's our policy.
I don't think anybody disputes that. The question I had for you is that does the interest of the United States include protecting human rights and include protecting people against genocide?
That is always the position of the United States.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay. So let's break this down. There is a lot to unpack here. So let's talk about that video. You have an audience member, a woman who seems to be a constituent or at least part of the community, and she's asking about a very serious, very horrific issue, FGM. She's polite. She sets up her question by mentioning a local case in Detroit. She then asks Omar and Rashida Tlaib to make a powerful joint statement condemning it. On the surface, this seems like a completely reasonable request, right? She's asking a politician to use their platform to condemn a major human rights abuse. It's basically a softball question. But look at how fast Rep. Omar responds. She doesn't just say, yes, absolutely, FGM is horrific, and by the way, I'm already on the record, and here's a bill I co-sponsored. No. Her first word is to call the question appalling. That is such a heavy, aggressive word to use on a constituent. She immediately turns the entire situation back on the questioner. She implies the only reason the woman is asking this is because Omar is Muslim and that she's being singled out. Then she gives that whole sarcastic, rehearsed-sounding speech. Should I make a schedule? Today I forgot to condemn Al-Qaeda. Today I forgot to condemn Hamas. Today I forgot to condemn FGM. The crowd in that room applauds, so it clearly works for her base. But let's really think about what just happened. A person asked a specific question about a specific crime, and instead of just answering it, Omar accused the questioner of bigotry. She's essentially saying, "You're only asking me this because I'm Muslim, and that's offensive." This is a classic political deflection tactic. When you don't like the question, you attack the premise and the person asking it. It completely deflects from the original topic, FGM, and makes the woman who asked the question out to be the bad guy. A lot of people see this and say, wait, why was that an appalling question? Why not just say, yes, FGM is horrible, I'm glad you brought it up. My record is clear and here's the bill I co-sponsored. Instead, it comes across as incredibly defensive and aggressive. She's complaining about being asked to condemn something that she supposedly condemns. It's a very strange look. She finishes by saying, if you want to treat her as an American politician, then treat us as such. But asking a politician to condemn a human rights violation is how you treat an American politician. It's part of the job. So what do we see in this video? Rep. Omar says she wants to be treated like any other American politician, but when she is in the position of power, her first move is aggression. First, she labels a constituent's legitimate question appalling. Second, she uses her platform to launch a personal character attack on the questioner, implying bigotry. Third, she uses a sarcastic, deflective speech, rather than just answering the question directly. She claims to care about American values and human rights, but her style in this video seems to be 100% about shutting down dissent and attacking the questioner. It doesn't look like she's interested in a real discussion. It just looks like political theater. But what do you guys think? Was she right to go on the attack? And was that woman's question in the video really appalling? Let me know your whole take down in the comments. Thanks for watching.